Welcome to our next episode of Unraveling Success. And today I have with me Katie House. Katie is a real estate guru. She lives in Somerset, Wisconsin, with her husband, Chris, and they have two kiddos, Mac and Charlie. Um, so she has the house team, which is brokered by EXP Realty, and has been in real estate for just about 13 years now. Before Katie got into real estate, she was a stay-at-home mom, which I'm excited to chat with you about that journey because that's a big change in life. Outside of real estate, Katie enjoys walking, hiking outside in nature, traveling, reading, spending time with family and close friends. And some of her keys to success is failing forward, surrounding yourself with good people, which I love that one because I always say, like, you're the sum of the five people you spend the most time with. So I love that you are very intentional about the people you pick and taking good care of yourself and having a good mentor or coach, which I can't, like, that is a very well rounded um, way to have your keys to success are well rounded, I guess I could say. So, welcome, Katie. I'm super excited to chat with you today.
Thank you so much for having me, Beth. I admire you. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Yeah, this will be fun. This is going to be a really fun episode to record because I love chatting with you. So, why don't you get us kicked off and share what your definition of success is?
Oh my gosh. Like when I was asked this question, my mind is just racing and I feel like I'm constantly adding on to this definition. And I don't know if I know for sure because I don't know that I'm like there yet. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's kind
Hmm.
of morphing, but I think to me success is like failing forward, like constantly growing, and being accepting of like where you are like right now while continuing to set new goals, like as far as your business, your personal life, your health. um, I think I heard something interesting today too, that like I was like, okay, I'm adding that onto my definition of success, because it's when you are maybe no longer like worried about just existing, and you're worried more so about your legacy and like what you can add back to others and to your family and for generations on. So that was kind of like a big aha moment. But I think that's where I'm at right now as far as my definition of success.
I love that. When I was reading your definition, one of the things that you pointed out was continuous growth. And for me, that's one of my personal core values is just growth in all areas of life. Um, and always wanting to work towards being the next best version of who we were made to be. But with that, and you touched on this too, like it doesn't mean that you're unhappy or not content where you are in this moment. Like your happiness isn't hinged on when I get to XYZ point, or like, because I don't think you probably ever feel like you've arrived, because it's a journey, and I think the beauty is in the journey versus like some destination. I don't know. I Because in all the goals that I've reached, it's just means it's time to like reset my sights to like the next goal.
That's
Right? So you're really never like done.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, I just feel like, yeah, whenever I set a goal or I reach it, or even if I fall short and fail, I learn something new and I grow, or
Mhm.
meet someone that's just like, it has an impact on my life. Or like, I just feel like with every growth milestone, every step, you're going to learn something along the way. So as long as you're doing that, that's success. I mean,
Yeah, I totally
right?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Um, so in your journey, I know that you were a stay-at-home mom for Mac and Charlie. And then you got into real estate. So this is 13 years ago ish that you started in real estate. And talk to me a little bit about, so there's a couple questions rolled up in one. But the first one is, what drew you specifically to real estate out of all the things that you could have done? And the second part of it is, talk to me a little bit about your experience in your transition from staying at home to then being a real estate professional?
Yeah. Okay, so what drew me to real estate was I had a dear friend who I went to high school with. And she'd always kind of been poking at me and saying, hey, you should get into real estate. She was a realtor. Her dad was a realtor. They had a big team in the town where I grew up in Lindstrom, Minnesota. And they did great business. And she kind of kept encouraging me and saying, you should do this. You should get into this. And so when my youngest Charlie was 3, and I had stayed at home with them for 8 years, um, I was like, gosh, what should I do? I want to do something. I want to contribute to our household, obviously. I want to do something that's flexible that I could still, volunteer in the classroom or go on a field trip with my kid and not be tied down. And so when I started looking, there wasn't a lot out there
Mhm.
that was available that was like that. And I said, well, maybe I'll just get my real estate license. And my husband, Chris, was very encouraging. We had already been living on one income for so long that it just kind of
Mhm.
felt like, okay, we're not depending on me to like make a ton of money or anything, but it'll, maybe contribute and it'll keep me busy. And
Mhm.
so I jumped in and I joined my dear friend Erin's team. And that's kind of how I got my start in real estate. And as far as the transition, I feel like it was really nice because with real estate, you're kind of building your own book of business, right? Like you have
Mhm.
to go out and find the leads or I really did my best to like be available to my team and host every open house I could, on the weekends. So it was a lot of weekends, it was a lot of evenings. I was in the office like almost every day. I was listening to their conversations. I was, taking notes and I was, just trying to soak up how they were handling things. And at that time, it was a completely different market. They were still dealing with foreclosures and short sales. So it was like,
Mhm.
not the dreamy, glamorous real estate that you might see on TV. Like it was tough and really interesting, but I learned a lot. And I knew right away that I loved it. And I didn't make any money for a couple of years, but I was like, I love this. I love learning something new every day. I love working with families. I love setting goals with people and then helping them achieve their goals. Um, I love being the one to like hold their hand along the way and educate them through the process. So once I
Mhm.
felt like confident and like I knew the process, I love being able to give back and educate someone on how they could own a home or how to
Mhm.
go about selling a home. And so to me, it was like the perfect fit. And the transition was sort of natural easing into it for the first couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can relate to that because I worked for a large captive agency for 10 years before I went out and started my book of business. Um, and I waited until Adam could support our family too. So I didn't have that pressure. I could also ease my way into it. And so for a little bit, I was kind of like halfway, at home a lot and then building my book on the side, and then I realized like how much I was really loving what I was doing and was able to configure things in a way where I could dedicate more time to building. But I was also like, I think there's the lesson I think that from both of our experiences was being able to be in a situation where there is some flexibility from a financial standpoint where you don't feel this tremendous amount of pressure to perform so that you can authentically show up in a way where you're also like attracting other people versus like, when you're in a desperate situation and you need the sale, like I call it commission breath. Like people show up in this different way when they have pressure that they shouldn't necessarily have on them.
Yeah, honestly, and this is not the business to go into if you need quick money, like fast money.
Yeah.
Um,
Same with insurance.
this is a long range game, and I've been honest and upfront with new agents who will call me or people who are thinking
Yeah.
to it. I don't sugarcoat it. I tell them, do you have 6 months to a year's worth of living expenses saved up, because
Mhm.
you don't know when that first deal is going to close, and you don't get paid until that closing happens, and the expenses involved are endless. And you know what? Sometimes it doesn't close and you're out thousands of dollars in marketing expenses. Like, are you comfortable with
Yeah.
doing that?
Yeah. And I think in both of our industries, both insurance and real estate, I think that it can attract a demographic of people who feel like it's get rich quick. And it is so tremendously for both industries it's a long game.
Yeah.
It is not yeah. I think it's interesting because I can see in your industry that whole that it attracts people that think that you can get rich quick. And I
Maybe
got news
it
for you.
makes it look too easy and too like glamorous, or people have a funny idea about it. But yeah, it's really interesting. But no, it's about relationships and about, you know, maintaining and building those important relationships.
Yeah. So you actually segued perfectly into one of the things I wanted to talk with you about. And you talked about educating and being along the journey with your clients and about relationships. And one of the things that you and I have discussed is how, in my experience, I'll speak for myself and you can confirm if this is your experience. But I've been through in my industry, so I've been in insurance for 24 years. And I have been through a lot of sales training. And I would say that the vast majority of sales training is written by sales hunters. And I am not a sales hunter. I am a farmer, and I really love relationships and taking care of people and educating people and building my team and taking care of my team. And my why has nothing to do with money. My why has to do with impact and um, empowering my team and bringing opportunity to, you know, to my team, but also like showing that a really well-run organization can take great care of clients when you have an empowered team that has flexibility. So I have my why is bigger than the financial piece, but really we have been built by only referral, and we have been built by relationships, which is completely opposite of any sales training I've had. And I know that you're similar in this. So do you want to talk to me a little bit about, like, let's combine sales success um, as a farmer and how you go about building, like, say, your pipeline, or getting in front of people that are looking to sell or buy. And then after that, let's touch a little bit on sales as an introvert, because I feel like you have a more of an introverted personality. I am admittedly a bit more social. Um, but like combine those, like you've seen great success in your industry, but your tactics I know you're very true to who you are. And so like you've seen great success as introverted and as sales farmer, which I think is amazing.
That makes me feel so good that you just said that I stay true to who I am. That's so important to me, and in my branding and like how we come across. Like, I'm just me. Like, I'm not trying to
Mhm,
do things like anyone else. Like, we really, I want to attract people who want to work with someone like me. So why is there
mhm,
to try to be, like anybody else? And so I've really worked hard on that, and just honestly, just also a lot of self acceptance, like accepting that, hey, I'm not that crazy salesperson. I don't need to have all the attention on me. Like, that is not my intention. It's not a part of my
mhm.
business plan. Um, but I think that also comes into play when people work with me, or like the lender partners that we work with, or our title partners. Like, we all kind of have this, a similar kind of vibe, right? Your vibe attracts your tribe. Um,
Yeah.
so, but when it comes to like um, farming and
Yeah.
um, building your business, that's been interesting for me, because So when I first, started in real estate, I was on a team. I got a few leads here and there from our team, and open houses and doing things like that. And I was running all over the place, like, because my team was based out of Minnesota. I lived in Wisconsin. And by year like two and a half, I was so burnt out because I was running like in every
Yeah.
direction. That's, I think, around the time when I met you, and I was like, gosh, I want to build my business a little differently. Like, I need to focus on building my business here in Somerset, New Richmond, like in the area where I live. And so I joined BNI. I was a stay at home mom. My kids went to a tiny little Catholic school. Like, I had no sphere. And so I'm like,
Hmm.
I want to just find the right people to work with. And I met you, and I made a couple of really good connections in that BNI group that even today, like, I still just adore these people.
Hmm.
That we met that were in that group, and so that was
Yeah.
huge. So I did that for a couple years, and then um, at the same time, I really just focused on being intentional about who I was meeting, who I was surrounding
Hmm.
myself with. I got a business coach who really helped me um, as far as maintaining relationships that I already had and trying to build off
Hmm.
of those and making sure I didn't lose them, and making sure we always, took care of our past clients. And so, I don't know. I think the grass is greener where you water it. Like, I'm not someone who's
Yeah.
always out there searching for new business, although I had to be at one point when I, was trying
Hmm.
to kind of build what I wanted. Um,
Yeah.
and so now I'm at the point where, yeah, most of our business comes from referrals. People who have either
Yeah.
worked with us in the past or know someone who did, and they passed along our name. And that, like, that is the greatest compliment, of course, that we could ever get.
Huge.
Um, I'm not out there trying to get every internet lead. I don't want to run and try to earn somebody's trust when they don't even know who I am. And, I
Hmm.
I really, really value our referral based business. And that has come from years and years of work and obviously
Yeah.
years and years of business trying to just build that up. Um,
Yep.
but that is where our business comes from. And now it's just a matter of, building a team and making sure that we have the right processes in place to
Hmm.
touch our sphere and our past clients, and make sure they still know we're doing what we're doing and taking good care of them. So,
Yeah. I think that you hit on something that popped in my head as soon as you said it. Is I think that not only is farming is, we're in industries that we've already identified. You have to be in it for the long game. It's not a get rich. I also think on top of that is when you're a farmer, there is a longer, you're planting seeds, you're nurturing relationships, or you're watering, right? And then after that is when like things grow and then the harvest comes. So I think hunters, it's like a shorter cycle, right?
yeah,
So also like just honoring the process and the having the patience to allow things to work, um, you know, and not being discouraged, right? Just having the fortitude to continue forward. Um, just knowing that it's, you know,
yep,
on top of the industries that we're in, and then the style, there's a longer tail to success. It's not something that's, it probably is three. I mean, I know for me, when I was building my book of business, I would say when I got to 3 years, I felt like I had momentum. I had my feet underneath me. Um, but that's also like when I bought my book and then started the agency. So then I feel like I had like tacked on like another 3 years there.
yep,
And so it's almost like the restart of the next big leap. And then I know now, like we just turned 10 as an agency. Now I feel like, okay, now now things are, really nicely set up and things are really flowing well. But it's amazing how, I mean, I look back and I'm like, there was a solid no less than 6 year time frame where I was in this middle ground of just having to wake up. every day and really lean into like being optimistic, even though like you don't have any future evidence to prove that what you're doing is actually going to work.
Yes. And like our business, so the past couple years have just been crazy, obviously, right? And now we're kind of getting
Mhm.
back into like a more, normal market. And so I think like coming down from that craziness, from the constant
Yeah,
grind, and like not even like even just to get my body like in a state of like, hey, it's okay that you're
yeah,
not going absolutely insane. Like you
right.
all good, right? Like continue planting the seeds, and
Yes,
I honestly think some of that got lost in the craziness of the market the past couple years. And so,
yeah.
and even like I still have a coach. I've had a coach like along the way at most parts of my business. And, even he has to remind me, he's like, are you doing the things that you're supposed to be doing on a daily basis? Like those
Mhm.
activities that are going to be feeding into your business? Are you making your phone calls? And no, they're not phone calls. They're like, hey, how are you? Or I just drove by your house.
Yes,
Garden looks so pretty. How are you guys doing? Or you see something on Facebook and write it down and like make sure that you're reaching out to your client to say, hey, congratulations. I just saw that. I don't know, just the
yeah,
touches. Are you doing those little things so that people know that you still care about them and planting?
yeah,
Like I have to remind myself that, hey, like you're still doing all the good things. The harvest.
yeah. It totally will.
Yeah.
It totally will. Um, so I think the next natural thing to chat on after you're talking about going from like the insanity of what the market's been to like the slow that it is now and the recalibrating is like how do you, you know, business ownership is full of really high highs and low lows. And so you have to really the challenge would be in mastering your emotions, like evening out those highs and lows and not, finding a way to kind of celebrate the wins. You're going to feel the bumps, but then not like stay in either one of those up or down for all that long. So just that which leads into like self-care and making sure like we're taking care of ourselves, like doing what we need to do at work, but also outside of work making sure that we're doing a good job of taking care of ourselves. So talk to me a little bit. I know you've had a really cool journey with that. So talk to me a little bit about what that looks like for you and how you've learned to kind of like stabilize those high highs and the low lows.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still learning like every
I
day.
know, always.
But gosh, like I don't know why it's so hard. And I don't know if it's just me, if it's like a woman thing. I just think too, like as entrepreneurs, we're so driven and I just get in this,
Mhm.
and a lot of times we're alone, right? Like
Yeah,
we're a leader on our team, we're a leader in our homes, we're managing our families and we're doing all the things. And I don't know why it's so hard for me to remember that, like, just going for a walk or like
yeah,
carving out time to meet a girlfriend and grab coffee and, do the loop. Or um,
yeah.
when I take care of myself, I am better for everybody, right? Like, I'm
Mhm.
a better mom, I'm a better, team leader, I'm a much better real estate agent when I feel good and I am doing the things that I need to do to take care of myself.
Yeah.
Um, but it's hard for me to remember. So I think just like time blocking it, doing it first thing in the morning. I'm not like a massive
Mhm.
routine person. I love like a slow morning. So
Yeah, me too.
I try to get up and have enough time to just like be and like try to, write down what I'm grateful for, drink my coffee, and go for a walk, even if it's like barefoot around my property with my dogs
Yeah,
for like 15 minutes and just like soak it up before I like jump into the craziness and just not being afraid to squeeze it in when I need to. Exercise helps me a ton,
yeah,
my anxiety and
same.
all of that. So if I can stay moving, I can usually
Mhm.
like regulate my emotions um,
Yeah,
best. And that's been a journey and a skill that I've had to build, you know?
yeah. It's so funny, if you spend any time with Katie, you will see this in her. Because 'Cause you're like, "Where's Katie? She went on a walk." Because you do that, like, it is and you can see, like, you have trained yourself to do that. And you are right, like the power of endorphins, like keeping your body in motion is absolutely huge. And it is one of the biggest ways to regulate your emotions. I mean, like it is just like, don't underestimate that.
Yeah.
It is huge. It's funny. I went through this online coaching program. It's maybe a year and a half ago now, but there was a lot of things I learned in this program. One of them, and you touched on this. I too am obsessive with slow mornings. I also know I need to get movement in, like right away in the morning. And so I've built my morning in a way that is, it might sound really crazy to some people, but it's actually not. It works really well. It's just you have to get past some of the things that society might say is crazy, right? So like I'm up at 4:15, which might sound crazy, but you know what? You just budget your sleep backwards and you just make that work.
Yeah.
Um, and because I need to be in a class I need to be in a class because frankly, I need social pressure to make sure that I'm consistent with my movement. So I'm in a class at 5, but that gives me like, that's a 45-minute class. So like I'm back home around a little after 6. And I have a few hours actually that I spend in my morning routine. And part of that is actually pouring coffee. And like I have, I do some journaling. I have some different things that I go through. I do a devotional, but I have time. Like I don't rush through those things. I sit down and I drink my coffee and I am very like I linger. But so this coaching program, that one of the classes that I went through was on the beauty of a leisure hustle. And like that tagline is like in my head forever, and I think about it frequently when I'm in the morning, because I too tend to be, once I turn on agency stuff, like I am on overdrive and I don't really have much of a stop button. I'm thankful that for me I have Adam that will just now, he literally just puts things in my calendar,
Yeah.
and he's the one that will be like, hey, we're gonna go on a family vacation here, because I wouldn't actually stop.
I know.
And so that's been, that I would say, by the time I get started in the agency, because I usually don't do anything in the agency until 9, I mean, I have 4 or 5 hours
Yes.
of my day in already, which sounds crazy,
No,
but
it's awesome and it's much needed. And like if you don't do it then, like your whole like you said, like I'm putting out fires or I gotta run or I'm everyone else everything else comes into play and can interrupt you. So I love that. I love it.
it's one of the things I wrote down when you were talking was that there's a lot of talk about self-care in just like our society. And I agree with taking good care of ourselves. But I also think the root of self-care, there's varying whys. And I think a lot of times in our society, the self-care is coming from really self-centered, which is a really unfulfilling place. But when you have the type of routines that both of us have, and the why is so that we can show up and we can be our best, not just for ourselves, but it's actually more others focused, because you can lead better your team, you can lead better when you're at home. Like your care of yourself is not just for self, it's others focused as well, which I think is a sign of a really strong leader.
Oh, and it's only taken like 40 some years to figure it out because I'm such a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And like you said,
Yeah.
will go and I will not schedule time to slow down, but I have to because if I don't, and I've been there and I've burnt out and I've been like, just a crazy person and not a good leader and not a good mom or a friend. And that's
Yeah.
not what I want. And so it's funny that like I have to that the self care is also is coming from a place of so I can be better, for
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, so you can pour into other people,
Yep.
and you can't do that unless you are at your best. I know we both have tried
Mhm.
it other ways and it just doesn't work. Someone's ends up getting shortchanged, which usually is ourselves first, right?
Yep.
But then everybody else is too. Like nobody wins when you're not prioritizing that.
Yep.
Every area in your life is will be affected in some way or another. It just is a matter of time for sure.
Yeah.
And I've learned that lesson the hard way myself. So talk to me a little bit about, so you've mentioned a few times that you have had coaches, it sounds like since you first started. And I'd love to hear from you your opinion on what do you do when you're looking for a coach? How do you hire? Um, And then how do you know when maybe it's time to move on to a different coach? And I'd like to hear a little bit about your experience throughout your years with coaching, even how your needs have changed when it comes to coaching.
Yeah. I mean, my first coach was probably, the team that I started with. And
Hmm.
so they were there. Honestly, they took me under their wing. They showed me the ropes. Like I said, they gave me every opportunity to soak up all of the education and knowledge that they had, for generations, honestly. And so that was like my first experience with, coaching or having a mentor. And that was amazing. Like, amazing, because they do amazing business, and they have an amazing family business. And then once I was we actually switched brokers, I think was kind of the catalyst. We switched brokers, and I was no longer on the team. I was an individual agent. And so I'm like, okay, like here's my chance to do things the way I want to do them. But gosh,
Yeah.
where do I start? What do I do? And so I actually reached out to like several really successful agents, like not directly in my market, but around me. And I was like, hey, would you want to grab coffee? Like, I think you have an amazing real estate team, and I'd love to know like what you're doing and what works for you. And I mean, of course, like I think I ended up meeting with two, and they are so flattered, because of course when you're reaching out and telling someone how amazing you think they are, usually they're more than happy to sit down and meet with you. And so
Mhm.
I sat down with one gal, and she gave me a book, and then kind of vented and shared with me that she didn't really like working with buyers. I mean, I just didn't think she was really in a good place, in her business. But
Yeah.
here on the outside, I thought, gosh, she's got an amazing team. And so I'm like, okay, that's probably not how I want to end up. And I sat down with somebody else, and he really seemed to have come from a place of like not doing so great, and really built himself up. And he was involved in this coaching program and kind of introduced me to that. And so that was my first like real coach. And it was specific
Mhm.
to mortgage and lenders. And that really helped me kind of build up basics. Like, what should I be doing every day? Like in my office
Yeah.
as agents, like
Yeah.
you don't really have to do anything, or you think you're like, gosh, I don't have any showings, I don't have any listings. What do I do? So that was,
Mhm.
what should I be doing every day in my business? How much money should I have? Like, how should my, accounts be structured? How much should I be saving for taxes? Like, it really helped me,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
think of me not just as an agent, but like, think of like myself as a small business.
Yes.
And kept me busy and gave me some structure, because before that I'd just been like chasing everything,
Mhm.
following and trying to figure out what everyone else was doing. And so that really taught me the basics. So I felt like I did really well for about a year and a half with that coaching business. And then my kids were in hockey. My husband was working nights, and I was like, okay, I got the basics down, but I don't think I can maintain this level of like, it was high accountability. Um,
Yeah.
it was,
The commitment,
yeah,
it wasn't the right season, right?
yeah. So I took a step back, and then hopped on board with a couple other coaches throughout the year, and I could tell usually pretty quick when it wasn't the right fit. Some of them I wish I would have, gotten away from sooner. but I am
Mhm.
someone who likes to give people a chance, and I felt like it kind of wasted my time a little bit. So I went through a couple coaches that weren't great with another coaching firm, and now I'm back with a new coaching business too. I mean, really focuses on sphere and referrals and just kind of getting back to
Good.
basics. And so I kind of feel like I kind of did like a full circle. I kind of been around the block and I'm kind of back to the basics. So
Yeah. I love that. And I love too that you honored the season that you were in. Like when you were in the coaching program that you were in that was high accountability and was really a gift to you, like knowing when also like you can't there's only so many hours in a day, and also like when the time for that like you needed to shift and allow you know your focus to not be solely on that one thing. I think that's really good.
I had to
um
step back. So
That is one thing that I really respect that you just mentioned, is that you reach out to other real estate agents, because I think that there is such it's there's this saying that I've heard a number of times where it's competition happens at the bottom and collaboration happens at the top. And that's for me such an indicator when I run into other people in my industry is are they collaborators, like, or do they look at me and they're like, oh, she is in my same industry, she's going to be competition for me, so I'm not going to share, and I'm not, you're all territorial and stuff. And I don't work that way. I collaborate with people that are in my backyard and share what I'm doing. And I love that you're, willing to also reach out to other real estate agents and get feedback and connect, rather than, looking at other people as like a threat. They can, everybody can win. It's not you or me.
oh my gosh. Yeah, I was afraid to reach out, but I just did it anyways. And now, having a little bit of experience and like having built up a little bit of a brand, um, when new agents call me and ask me, "What are you doing? Who are you using? Like, who does your marketing?" Like, or will you sit down and have coffee with me? I just want to run something by you. Or when even like really experienced agents call me for advice, I'm just like, what? Like, that is like the best. I love that. And I love collaborating and sharing. Like, it has saved me.
Yeah,
Like we said earlier, like this business, it's lonely. It's
yeah,
lonely being an entrepreneur, and it is competitive. And I
yes,
feel like it's so important to have like those friends who are right there with you, each
mhm.
other up, because we all need that.
Yeah, I agree that leadership can be very lonely. And I don't know if you work this way, but for me, I tend to be more of like a verbal processor. Like I can usually even solve my own problem as long as I have somebody to talk to on the other line, so I can like talk it through. Um, but that's come as a really interesting, because I don't have a partner in this business. It's me as an owner. And there's been very lonely times. I think you learn how lonely leadership is, and then you realize how important it is. And like what you talked about in your keys to success is how important it is to have that really solid like core of people around you, so that you can like insulate yourself a little bit from that loneliness. And for me, I need to have people that I can just, I don't have to like call them on a whim. I can schedule a call and wait, but I need to have the ability to like verbally process through something.
Right. I do too. And sometimes, like, yeah, I solve a lot of my problems by just saying it out loud and like talking it through. But yeah, I think it's so important to have that camaraderie. Like
Yeah,
business, whether it's someone in your industry or not, like just someone else has been there, right where you've been before. So
totally. Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that we had talked about a little bit is goal setting. And I know that you do a vision board retreat, it sounds like. So talk to me, because I'm really, we haven't pre-talked about this piece,
yeah,
but I wanted to just hear like what you do and what your experience has been in that. Because I also I have a lot to tag on to what you're going to say. So chat with me on that a little.
Yeah, I mean, probably for the past like 6 years, I've been um, taking my team on a retreat. So sometimes we'll go up to like Grandview Lodge, do a little spa day. I like to get away and remove myself from the everyday because I can't.
Mhm.
It's hard for me to focus. I got to get away from the distractions for a night or two, try to relax, do a little self care, and then do a vision board. And like last year, I didn't really have a team, and so I grabbed a couple other agents, get girlfriends from other brokers, and we went and did a little retreat too. But I think it's really really important to like be intentional with your vision for your life and check
Mhm.
in, every year, every quarter,
Yeah.
whatever you need to do. And for me, like I'm just a visual person, so I like to have goals and visualize where I want to be and kind of see myself in that, whether it's a word or a place or a thing. And so I've been doing it for a long time, and I feel like it really holds me to, you know, my vision for the year and my intention, by having a
Mhm.
vision board. So, and there have been things that, yes, I have accomplished and it's felt so good. And there are things like, that are still on there that I'm reaching
Working.
toward. Yeah. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah. Um, okay, so this is funny, which I love that you guys get away. I mean, we have the building up north, and so we usually do something like up north for the day in the building. Um, and also, but I need to. I love your idea of like getting away and doing something like spa, like something other than just the planning. So I'm gonna have to sit on that and think about how that might look for us because I think that'd be a great add-in. Um, so okay, I do this in a couple things. So personally, I'll start personally and then I'll talk about what we do team wise. Personally, really like right when I started, just trying to think if it was when I started my book of business or after I bought the book and started the agency, but it was in that time frame. So between 2010 and 2013. I created like a vision board. I just created it first on Pinterest. So I actually had like a board on Pinterest and I was real specific, like with my goal setting. I've always done goal setting, but then I too am very visual. So I'm like, I'm going to convert my goal setting that I have written on paper, but I'm going to make it, like whole person. We're talking like all facets of my life. I'm going to turn that into this Pinterest board. And then I'm going to print off all of the pictures and all of the sayings and everything. And I'm going to create like this collage. And I went to Home Goods and bought this giant, like it's like a poster size frame, So I mean, it's big. And it's been up, well, like it's either in my closet, it's in my bedroom, like I can see it on a daily basis. And it was really funny because it, and this is where it started getting kind of weird, to be honest with you. And first of all, I'm going to put a disclaimer that I am so not like the law of attraction or the secret. Like that's not how I don't lean that way.
Yeah.
And it's cool if you do, but it's just not my thing. So um, all of a sudden, it caught my attention. I don't even know. It probably caught my attention way later than it ever should have. But I realized like all the things on my vision board were like happening. And so then I created another board on Pinterest and it was called Answered Prayers. So what I started doing is anytime something on my vision board would happen, I moved it over
Oh my God.
to Answered Prayers. And I will tell you, it is one of the creepiest things you will ever like. Our RV looks identical to what I had on the vision board. That wasn't even planned. Like it's not like I was coordinating my vision board to my life. Like these things, Adam is actually the one who picked out the RV.
You're just like, oh,
But
I
it's
want an
from
RV. This one looks good. I'll put that on the picture.
yeah,
And then it turns.
yeah, yeah. Like okay, like we're talking about our RV. We're talking about our boats. We're talking about my dog right now. Looks identical to this dog that I had on the vision board from 5 years ago, but he just turned 3. Um, we're talking about Chloe's horse. We're talking about the house I just built. I put the picture of a house that I wanted, and separately I had a Pinterest board of like house inspiration, and I had a bunch of houses on there. I didn't actually remember the one that I like. I don't stare at the vision board every day, but it actually is like almost identical clone of the house on the vision board.
So
Like
pretty.
I could go on, but those are some of my highlights. I mean, because even from business team stuff, like creepy,
Yep.
super creepy.
Yeah, I should start
So
doing that and like actually like, okay, here's what I had, here's what actually happened because I keep in
yeah,
my closet too.
yes, I should take a picture of mine. We need to just like do a vision board redo because mine definitely needs a refresh because it's I still have this one from when I from ages ago. Like mine is updated, my vision board is updated in Pinterest, but I haven't like redone it.
Right.
But it's actually just been one of the most interesting things to watch and reflect on. And I can't say as though I know like why that's happened, but it has, and it's definitely caught my attention.
Well, I
So,
think too, like you called it answered prayers. I just think
yeah,
like, some people are woo woo and some people are, faithful and both,
yeah,
whatever you want to call it. You're being
yeah,
intentional, like you're setting intentions, you're being like mindful about where
hmm,
your energy is going and what you want in your life. And I just think, whether it's from God or the universe or, whatever, I just feel like being intentional and mindful and setting those goals and being purposeful, in your daily goals and your goals for the year it's so powerful.
it is.
Huh.
It is so powerful. It's funny because that's one of the things that we talk about a lot within Aspire is how it's really important to set your sails and to have a target and know like where are you aiming.
Yeah.
Then I always also will denote it and be like, we are going to set these goals and we are going to, we meet quarterly and track our goals quarterly. Um, and I believe in that. It's important because we have to have a united vision. And that is important for people and leaders, to have an idea of where we feel like we're going. And also, I also, in the same breath, would say that one of my mantras is the best way to make God laugh is to tell him your plans.
Yes.
So we have to be willing also to be flexible on like what things actually might look like. And oh, look at there's a plot twist here and stay flexible and be willing to, take things as they come to because there's a lot that's out of our control despite all the goals that we might make.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah. So, well, Katie, it has just been a joy having you on the podcast today. I've learned so much about you, and I'm definitely going to be tapping your shoulder on a couple of things, especially when it comes to vision boards. And so, to learn more about Katie, to connect with her, to learn about her and her team, and how you may want to maybe even use her for future real estate endeavors, all of her contact information will be in our show notes. And she's definitely one you'd love to connect with.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you for having me. I loved our chat.
Same.